What is up? I am Miguel Antonio, and this is the Live and Create podcast. It's where I interview artists and entrepreneurs about what it means to live a great life and create great things. On today's episode, we have Mica-Elgin Vi. He's a lead singer and founder of the band Modern Day Fitzgerald, and his creativity is off the charts, as well as his love for the business behind the art. We tackle a ton of topics centered around this idea of the merging of entrepreneurship and music. We also geek out on our love for Gary Vaynerchuck, and he shows me up because he actually got the Gary Vee shoes, and so it's time for me to step up my game and catch up. This is a great conversation. I hope you guys enjoy.
The Live and Create podcast.
Well, dude,
What's up?
it is awesome to talk to you. One day we'll see each other in person again and then have whiskey or something, some cocktails at the Rhino. But bro, a whole crazy year. Well, I want to get into some of the things that you no doubt have learned into 2020. But first, just want to talk about you, because you have this songwriting ability, music ability, but then you're also creating these incredible videos. You and your band, Modern Day Fitzgerald, you create these great promos. And I wanted to dive into what inspires that, like especially the creativity and behind, because a lot of bands, they get the music part, but it seems like you get the marketing piece, but you make it so fun. And I was wondering where that comes from for you.
That actually really does mean a lot. I appreciate you saying that. No, it's funny because it started like in 2016. We did a release show, and I for like our first EP, and I was like, I'm doing everything right. My song is on the radio. I'm friends with the cool people in the scene. I got a cool gig. Let's go. And we did the gig, and then I was like, cool, it's just friends and family, and my ego got in the way where it's like, but I wanted like rushes of people, I want this and want that, and it just didn't happen. And then like I don't know, like after that I took a step back and I was kind of realizing, what am I doing? And I kind of realized that I am doing that what everyone is doing. They're doing the same thing where they're going on the same radio station, which is cool. It's great to have your song on the radio. They're going through the same, like idea, like, cool, we gotta play a show, we gotta do this, but it's not, but everyone is doing the same thing. And that's when I realized, like, all right, when you think about it, in Kansas, because I'm from Kansas City, so in the Kansas City music scene, everyone is, at least during that time, is doing the same, like has the same routine where it's like, we're all doing we have music, we book a show, we go tour, the end. And which is fine, and it works out for like some people, but most people, it doesn't click. And
too often, I think people get on that cycle, and then what happens is eventually like I remember finding myself in landscaping for a while and doing all these different things where I almost just gave up on my dream, because that cycle doesn't always pay off if you can't find a way to break out of it. But yeah, I love what you're saying. Like, let's do something different. I mention him almost every podcast now. So my wife calls him my Lord and Savior, Gary Vee. He says, if you want to be an anomaly, act like one. And it seems like you're living that idea out. But yeah, you can continue on that. I cut you off.
No, you're good. You're good. The thing behind that too is that, like, same thing. With Gary Vaynerchuck, I took a step back, kind of analyzing everything and trying to realize, like, what do I need to do to not only feel like I did something, but also, controlled every variable that I can. And it's funny that you mentioned that. I was watching a thing from Gary Vaynerchuck, and he literally said, like, yo, hey, bro, just document and create. That's all you got to do. And then he was doing an interview, like a thing in someone's office, and in his office, he's like, the guy's like, oh my God, yeah. Think about it. Everyone is doing the same thing, but they don't want to know just that. They want to know who you are. They want to know what's going on. They want to relate to you. And I'm like,
They want
Oh,
to see you cook shrimp scampi and things like that.
actually, real talk though, yes. That's if you see some of my videos, I cook like no other. So
I love it, man.
that's a
I
different
love
story.
it.
But that's the thing was like you gotta document and create. You gotta figure out like it's like, hey, if you're recording something, don't wait. Like let them know, see what's going on. You're at the same time, I'm not at the level of Justin Timberlake where I can be in a hiatus for like 7 years and all of a sudden, boom, 2020 experience. And I'm like,
Stadium
look,
tour.
no, you don't have like for me now, it's like I need you to relate to me or see what's going on as me as a musician, what I do every day. And I saw that and I'm like, cool. It's great because like I love doing film stuff. I am like I know how to edit. I know how to, I've been doing that since high school. So why don't I apply that rather than paying someone $1,000 every time to edit my stuff? I'll just go ahead and do it myself. And
Right.
all the things that I've done for like vlogs or behind the scenes stuff, podcast or whatever is just the idea of like, look, I am now documenting and then creating for you to understand who I am as a human being. And at least the way I do it makes it, who I am. And then I guess that kind of slowly picks up for people where it's like, oh, this promo that he did, it looks professional. It's like, yeah, because I did everything through iMovie. Shh, don't tell anyone. And
That's huge though, man, for any like really entrepreneurs or like other musicians listening. It's like sometimes we get in this habit like until I get that right guitar or until I get that right piece of gear, I can't
yeah,
really do what I'm trying to do. But the reality is you can start right now with some of the things that you have right in front of you. I love it.
I started this band with a guitar from Target, Miguel. Like I it's not with it's in my closet, but it
What
like had
brand? Like Target brand? Like
it's like I think they call it Lion with the
Lion.
LYON.
Okay.
And there's a lion on the guitar, like on the thing. It looks like a Fender Stratocaster. The strings are so high up,
Oh,
and it's
painful.
like, but during that time when I first started, it's like Jack White, let's go, and the
Started
only
your band with a guitar from Target.
started
I
the guitar
love it.
for
That's
yeah
awesome.
with a and a amp that I borrowed, but he never got it back because he never. I texted him, but he never responded back to get the amp back. But
To
I
be
still
honest, I
have
have
his
a
amp.
few things like that, I'm sure.
Yeah,
And I think you went a step further. I don't know if I ever texted the people and it just kind of, yeah. And
I
that's a whole
felt
other story.
bad. I
I'll have a
felt bad.
confession booth later and absolve me of my sins.
But no, like I started out with this the gear that like I had, and and people still went to my shows. Just people went like they're like I like it. I know what's going on with it. It's one musician came to me as a very good friend of mine, Nathan Corsi from Not a Planet. He saw my show. He's like, dude, your sets was solid. And that meant a lot. But he also said to me, Micah, you also need a new guitar. And that's like, okay,
He's
it's
like, it's
time.
time.
And I was like, all right, fine, it's time. I'll get a new guitar. And so I got a new guitar. Sorry, I rambled on a little bit about that. But
No, it's great. I love the directions they take. And so it sounds like for you, you just wanted to dive in. You had these skills and you said, why not apply this, set myself apart? And I think that's something you are accomplishing and you and your crew are accomplishing because it inspires me. Like there's times I've literally thought, I think I've even said to Daniel, like, I wonder if we should hire Micah to do some promo because I love the creative ideas that you guys have, but I don't have money to hire you. So that's not enough yet, but maybe one day. There is a story you've shared with me in the past that I think would be great to share here because
yeah,
of what it, I think can offer other artists. And because you bring up Nathan Corsi,
mm,
and I remember you applied yourself and put yourself out there to learn and grow
yes,
by offering to essentially be his guitar tech as you were
yeah.
trying to build your own career. Can you talk to me about that and even what led you to walk that road? Because artists, we're not necessarily always the most humble people. We try to
Oh
get
no,
people to
not at
just
all,
come
not at
see
all.
us all the time. That's our thing. But you showed great humility in this. So yeah, where did
Yeah,
the idea come from
uh,
and what'd you learn?
So basically, it was like this. It was like I graduated college and didn't have a job afterwards. So therefore, I'm working like an everyday job, and I wanted, it's like I'm like Kansas City has a great music scene, and I want to get into it, but like you want to make sure you're not going with the sketchy people. You want to go with like the right influential people this way. So of course, I don't know where to go. Uh, I went to school in Warrensburg, Missouri, University of Central Missouri, and I went to a show there in Pine Street, and one of the bands that played was Not a Planet, the Paper Clips, Braveheart. I have the poster here actually, but and I went to the show and I saw Nathan Corsi play the show, and I was like, from Not a Planet, and I was like, dang, like that is sick. He's great. And afterwards, I kept tabs on them. I pressed like on their Facebook, listened to them, watched everything that they had on YouTube, and then all of a sudden, after I graduated college, I went to one of their shows. I was there super early. I didn't know that it's supposed to start at 10, but I was there at 8 because Facebook said it was 8. But that's a trick for musicians where it's like, all right, people are going to come in not that time, so we're going to say 8 o'clock, but then
They'll
everyone
eventually show
comes
up
in.
at like 10:15.
Yeah, I read that wrong because I didn't know. Afterwards, like Liam from Not a Plan was like, "Hey, go hang out with us," And then we talked, and I let him know, like, "Yeah, I kind of want to do the same thing you're doing. I just don't know where to start. I love your sound." We started like chit chatting and stuff like that, to the point where Liam reached out to me and it's like, "Hey, do you want to like quote unquote intern from us?" Just meaning like, "Hey, just hang out with us, like learn some things that we're doing and help us out when we're going to shows." I'm like, 100%, let's do it. And during that time, I got like I learned everything from sending out emails to promoting to who to talk to in general kind of thing. And there was this one time where Not a Planet was opening up for Flogging Molly, the Dirty Heads, Morning no, not ZZ Ward, and then that's pretty much it. And I was like, they're like, "Hey, can you help me guitar tech?" It's like, bet, let's do it. And from that on, like I started, like I have a whole story behind that, but it's a different story. But like, and then when I was guitar teching for him, like I learned now different things on like how to do things with gear, like what gear do you need to have, how do you actually do a pedal board kind of thing, to that. And all of a sudden, like I started guitar teching him from like other shows, like for opening up for the Blues Travelers to so on and so forth. Weird Stories, Smash Mouth. That's a fun thing. But
That's awesome.
no, we I learned so much through that. And when I even smaller shows, and to the point where I met different human beings in this scene through me guitar teching. And the main thing I made sure to do is like to is be super kind, super nice, like just like making sure that I'm not like a prick, basically. And I built so many connections with that. And once I finally started my music properly, I had like people come to my shows because like, "You're a great guy. Like you're super nice. You're not a jerk. I'm gonna go to your show." And like,
And your
and people,
bandmates actually want to stay in your band and those kind of things.
yeah, 100%. I mean, yeah, ish, yeah,
Ish. Well, in general, like
in general.
sometimes things change and switch around, but I think that was something we learned as a band when Run With It was going, is like not being an asshole
Yeah.
goes a long, long way. And there were people that we, even as we did tryouts, where we're like, "You're probably one of the best musicians out there," but realizing, oh, he's just kind of an asshole, and we don't want that vibe, like, because it can destroy so many things. But
Oh yeah,
man, I love that story, and
I
I hope
appreciate that.
other artists who are wanting to figure out, like, if they're in that place, like, I just want to get started, like you were, that they would hear that story and just kind of have that humility to say, I'm going to walk out there and I'm put myself out there. It's like a combination, like courage, humility at the same time, because
Yeah.
it's a ballsy move to say, hey, show up at 8 o'clock and, hey, would you teach me? Would you help me? But also shows just, yeah, great humility. And it's
It's
open. It's cool to hear how it's opened so many doors for you.
it's also the fact too is that like, like I was young and I didn't know what to want to do. And as much as I want to say like, yeah, I want to be a rock star and party or whatever, but at the same time, it's like I want to make sure that if I'm going to go to a music scene, I want to make sure I'm doing it right. And if I just go in like through basically, it's like this: if I go through in the only door that I know of and go through it, but it's locked, but then all of a sudden there's other doors around it I can go through the same thing. It's like, oh, okay, there's a lot of opportunities, there's a lot of variables that you can go through. Why not take like open all of them? At least do your best to see it through, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Worst analogy ever,
I
but it went through.
yesterday I read a quote. I wish I could remember who it was by, but they said that essentially, I'm boiling it down, that an
Yeah.
amateur is someone who has one great idea and just rides that through. And a professional is one who's willing to try out multiple ideas and continue to follow the things that are in front of them. That's what it makes me think. I've been thinking about that one so much since I read that yesterday, because I'm like, where have I done that? Where have I just had this great vision but missed the things that may have been opening up around me? So
Yeah.
yeah, I love that with the doors. So entrepreneurship
Entrepreneurship.
and artistry, I think that's one place where we have connected a lot, because
Yes.
it seems like you operate in two different sides of your brain. And I think that's kind of how I operate too. Some days I'm like, here's the business end. Some days here's the artist end of it. Is that something that's always been in you since like even little? Like, do you look back, I was 7
Yeah.
and I was trying to
Uh
start businesses, those kind of things?
it's funny. It's like like when you're in middle school to high school, you have all these crazy ideas, and then like, oh, it'd be cool to do this, oh, it'd be cool to do that. I'm the guy who actually is like, can I curse? I always want to
Yeah.
make
Oh yeah,
sure. Oh, thank
absolutely.
God. Like, I was
Yeah, go
like,
for it.
fuck it. I'll do it. I'll go ahead and like, have at it. The biggest thing that I remember was in like after I graduated high school, before we went to college, we a bunch of friends and we made basically a 1 hour action movie, uh, with all of our friends. And through that, I learned how to edit properly. I learned how to write a script. It was just for fun. We knew, like, we try to make the worst B movie ever, basically. And
Now you can get that shit on Netflix. Like,
oh
you know what
my
I'm saying?
God, right?
That would have been
And
brilliant.
but like we went all out. Like I learned how to like add like gun sounds. I learned how to like edit to make fight moves look like fight moves, kind of thing. It honestly, like, it was still cool for like a 17-year-old making it. And to make it even further, I rented out, a bunch of friends of mine and rented out a local theater to actually to premiere it.
I love
And
that.
what we did, I didn't have a job, so I got all the change from my car, all the stuff underneath my couch. My friends did the exact same thing. I kid you not. It was like this much of change. It was like $100 worth of change, and that's how we paid for the theater. Remaining of that money went to buying concessions as well. So when people come in, they can also pay for food and drinks and everything. I went even further and got like a opening act, someone playing music to do it as well. So it was literally
Wow.
someone playing music and then you're premiering your movie, kind of thing. To go even further, we had a red carpet, and it like honestly, but here's the thing: the best thing of that, like for that was it when people came in and like started watching it. I've never made something that was like just so pure of like excitement and like heart and all of a sudden, like, people are like laughing or like literally clapping at like the moments that just like jumped in, where it's like I did a thing where I jumped off like a banister and I was like shooting a gun kind of thing, and it edited to look like I actually
Slow-mo.
did it, and people were like, "Oh my god, yes!" And like people were clapping, and like, I was the director in the back, was like watching everybody like, "Oh, thank God, people love it. Oh, this feels so nice." And it was the fact that like, you know, you put your like you do everything so hard and put your soul into it, to the fact of like, oh, like, you know, like people enjoy it. People are actually like not like necessarily like an ego way, like enjoying everything I made, but the fact
Right.
that they're having fun kind of thing.
Absolutely.
And for that we made, I think we broke even, or we made over on what we intended to do. But
With car
after that,
floor change, you made a profit.
and then we sent all that money to like a donation thing for, I think back then, invisible children. So
Oh, okay.
but yeah, like, speaking of entrepreneurship though, like that's where like my mind is all the time, where it's like, what can we do to do this? What,
Mhm.
you know, what materials that we have can we actually make this happen kind of thing.
So in
And
general, it just sounds like you make shit happen. That's what you're gonna do. If you
I
get an idea in your head, like, let's bring it to fruition.
and then there are times where it's like, oh, I fucked up, and I recover back, and I kind of like analyze every situation, which is really bad for me, bad for my anxiety. But I do analyze it to the point where it's like, okay, well, I fucked this up. What can I do better? All right. So maybe next time when I had an opportunity to do this again, I'll go ahead and go this way properly. So
Yeah. Well, and that's something I have to work on, is the idea of giving myself grace, because I get so intense about things and
yeah,
constantly analyzing. I I think over this last year, that's something I've had to do, is just like, how do I give myself grace in this? I was like, here's the wins. I'm going to celebrate that. I learned from these things here, but instead of just beating myself up over and over again. But
100%.
I almost think that's part of that entrepreneurial mindset as well, because you want to do better. Like, it's just the thing that's ingrained in all of us who are doing this, at least walking this path, I think.
I mean, the thing about being a musician too, it's crazy because, again, I think we talked about this before. It's that like when you're becoming a independent musician, when like you're first seeing it, you literally think, oh, cool. You go tour, you go to a nice like venue, you play a show, you get trashed, you see girls or whatever, and then like, and then all of a sudden like you go to the next thing and do it again. Like, no, like, it's, when you go think about it, yes, you could have that lifestyle, but out of anything, it's a business.
Yeah.
Like everything about this place, is this whole scene, this industry is a business. Like like when you play a show, you want to make sure you're doing this for, like, you know, you want to make sure you're going to the right people or the right venues or whatever. You want to make sure that, you know, you're promoting it correctly. I think that's one of the biggest opportunities that, like, you know, most musicians need to do, is like how do you promote properly in order for people to come in and whatnots. And at the same time too, like, what connections can you make as well. And
Mhm.
uh for me, entrepreneurship is all about like, what variables do you have and what can you control, basically.
It's awesome, man. So over 2020, life shut down for a
Oh
lot of
yeah,
us in the arts
totally.
world. And but what I noticed, at least for myself, a lot of other conversations I had with other artists, that extra time seemed to allow for a lot of inward, like, introspection
Yeah,
and
100%. Yeah.
growth. Is there something over the last year, even though I know we're in 2021 now, we all just want to look ahead and look forward,
Yeah.
but is there something that sticks out to you, like, this is something I learned by looking inside with this extra time?
Yeah, so it's funny because like I, for 2020, like I, as much as I did some things, you know, I did some like we did a few podcasts, and whatnots, or we did, a few things here and there. But one of the biggest things is like, I'll admit right away, it's like 2020. It's like, oh shit, like you actually like it's more of a realization first, where it's like, oh shit, like you can't play shows. If you can't play shows, how are you supposed to make money?
Like
Oh
it's
shoot,
everything for an original band, man.
if venues at the same time, if venues can't make money, they're gone. Where are you going to play next? And then that's the case. Like, oh shoot, if venues, not just here in Kansas City, but everywhere, if they're gone, how are we supposed to tour? And then all of a sudden becomes a big spiral thing. So then, one of the biggest things now, it's like, all right, how do you adapt? I could go ahead and complain about a shit ton of things, and it's still won't get me where I'm supposed to be. So
Right.
therefore you adapt, kind of thing, where it's like, all right, fam, what do I need to do? Do I and then I kind of like notice people doing is like, they're doing Facebook Live, Instagram Live, video like concerts, which is super dope. Like I love when people do that, and why not? The catch is too, it now became oversaturated, not just for musicians, but then you have, people like, oh, I want to do this just for like, for having fun, which is great, but now it's oversaturating the market in either for Facebook or Instagram or whatnots. And once it becomes oversaturated, as a consumer, you're like, TikTok, let's see what's going on there instead, kind of thing. So, like, and then you kind of like, I later realized, like, all right, we need to adapt. So one of the biggest things that we did was after when things kind of cooled down, but not like, it cooled down enough where we did a recording at our favorite venue, the Rhino, and we did like a 5-song EP and did like live coverage of us playing a show. And yes, everything was COVID protocols. Every crew member was wearing a mask. I was like not hugging people or whatever. There was no people,
And that's a
no
hard one
audience
for a lot of
members.
artists, is like being out and not like just interacting with people like that close. I'm a close talker. I'm a
Exactly.
hugger, all that kind of stuff, especially you get whiskey flowing and
Oh,
all that.
100%.
But
Well, so for that whole thing is that like cool. We have 5 songs. We got a 5-song EP. Those 5 videos. That's our. I made sure at least during 2020 I'm productive enough where I can like make something. So at least we had those 5 videos where it's like cool. This is our either our part can be part of our electronic press kit. This is a thing where someone says like, hey, do you have a video of your band playing? Yeah, man. Boom. And we also added fake audience sounds. But for
nice.
us, we know it's fake. But if you give it to someone else, like, oh, it's like you're playing for Saturday Night Live. Like, that's super dope. Like, yeah, it's real.
It was brilliant.
100%.
It was
Yeah.
Saturday Night Live.
Oh,
Like I know
100%.
it's a
And
little
like,
different vibe, but
but like the way we did is like, cool. If we do that, we're going to go ahead and like, you know, we have some content enough to help build value for us itself too. And the whole idea behind that though is like, I want to make sure we're doing something different enough where it's like we're being first off, like I said, we're adapting. We also want to make sure that we're doing something different than most people are doing, where it can now be actually recognized and not saturated. So, yeah, like that's one of the main things. At the same time, we like I made sure to take a step back on most things as well. It's because there were like there are great protests that actually were happening. Black Lives Matter, and we want to make sure like for me personally, I didn't want to like oversaturate my content with that, where it's like Black Lives Matter. Also, Modern Day Fitzgerald is a wonderful band. Check us out and look, I can follow Spotify. Like, no. Like, I want to make
it's
sure,
like all the famous people who put out the Imagine video right when the lockdown started, and
Oh,
it just fell so flat, and everyone's giving it so much shit because they're like, oh, you guys were just bad, no one was paying attention to you, where people could
yeah.
almost see through the pandering that was happening as opposed to honest, like, hey, we just want to let you know, like, as a band or as a person, we support
Yeah.
this. And no, I get you.
Yeah, and like so I made sure like at least during that like I mean it's still happening, but like at least like the majority of the protests, like I'm not oversaturating that as well, not like covering it up with my like stupid band and whatnots where like I want to make sure to, you know, like talk more about the important stuff. But at the same time, I have to take a step back and like, you know, make sure I'm doing that. And, you know, at the same time, it was really cool taking a step back as well, just because you didn't later realize all right, well, you know, like learning like how to adapt properly or learning how to, you know, make sure what content do I actually need to put out now kind of thing.
Yeah. That's cool, man. And that inspires me a ton. Even as I'm planning my next steps, I have several strategies in the works, but I love that focus that you have of how do I set myself apart? Because yeah, like we could all do the same thing, run the same cycle, check off the boxes, but at the end of the
100%.
day, we're probably not accomplishing the thing that we want to. So now the last two questions,
Of course.
uh because I love all the nuts and bolts and the strategies, but I also love the behind the scenes. I love music theory behind music, and
Yes.
but I love the philosophy, like almost like the operating systems that we're running off of mentally, emotionally, physiologically. So for you, when you think of living a great life, what does that mean to you currently?
Living a great life. It's crazy because I'll admit 2020 kind of like altered that a little bit.
Hmm.
Where it's like, you know, at least like, you know, at least pre-COVID or pre-pandemic, like living a great life. For me, I wanted to accomplish everything. I wanted this is the real like a real thing is like I wanted to be like Kansas City's like Donald Glover. And like to the point where it's like he's doing everything. He's doing music, he's making shows, he's doing this and the whole idea of him like at least even like during early Childish Gambino stages is that he had the mentality of like, you know, you know, staying up late writing and then 2 hours later going
Hustling,
to a
pushing
shoot,
through.
hustling and pushing. And
Yep.
I loved that. I didn't like that inspired me to hustle a little bit more in this band as well. Um, and yeah,
Yeah, and almost
that was
everything he does is like flawless too. That's what's
exactly.
crazy. I'm
And
like,
how? But that said, like when 2020 hit, you know, you took a step back. You know, I was, you know, before I had to go back to work, I was on lockdown a little bit. So you kind of like later realize, like, oh shoot, like you go through your Facebook memories and you're like, I should travel more. Oh yeah, like, you know, it'd be really cool. I should probably hang out with this person again. You go keep
hmm,
scrolling, it's like, you know what? Maybe I should do like this, or you know, or like I should probably organize. I need to learn more cooking. I need to learn more recipes. And so like I don't know, like for me now it's like great. Music is like I'm still about the hustle, like the hustle and grinding or whatever. But of course, like moderations and whatnots. But like
yeah.
now it's like what makes my great life would be like, you know, just spending the time with people you love. And because once you do that, like I'm a giver, like, you know, where it's like I love giving value to people, like not just in music scene, but like in general. Like
Hmm.
I just love, you know, making sure everyone is taken care of for like or whatnot. And uh you kind of later realize like, you know, like life is short. Like, you know, it's a good thing just to spend time with people that you really do care about. And
Right.
and then, you know, just be there every like in every step of the way because you never know. Like things you kind of later realize and during this 2020, like things get crazy and
Yeah.
you want to make sure to at least create it, you know, memories for whatever. like with whoever you're with, kind of thing.
Well, and us being, friends on Facebook, I see you living that out as well. The things that you share, no doubt there's many more things you don't share, but just a lot of pictures of you and your family, you and your
Yeah,
sister. I think wasn't on
that
your social media. There's even like one whole like stream of it's just you and your sister, and that's an encouraging thing to see because I do know your mindset and how focused you are. I relate to that, but I also feel you on this. We can miss those moments and miss those people around us all too often.
and like I mean, like I guess to conclude all of that is that like life is short. Why you know I don't want to be like another Scrooge where it's like you work so hard and get all that like success and money, but then you miss everything that the journey of it. So yeah, I think now that what I want to do is make sure to spend extra time with people and actual and appreciate it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
And it does. It goes so fast. That's 2020. I had a similar journey where I'm such a like go, go, go person. Like the band
100%.
would get off tour, I would clean out the van and then I'd pile my whole family up in the van. And then we go drive somewhere else for a whole week as a family. Like I
That's
just
awesome.
always wanted to be going where I found myself, it was about a month and a half ago. We were driving home one night and I was like, what's crazy? I can't wait to get home. And, I'm 40 now. I don't know how often I've ever had that thought. I
You
always
don't
wanted
look
to go
40.
somewhere. Well, thank you, man. Thank you.
You don't look 40.
but, and that's the other thing is our oldest is looking at colleges now.
Oh
And I
wow.
swear to God, he was just 5 yesterday. But instead he started going on tour with us and we'd play a college and all the college girls thought he was in college. We had to explain to him that he's only in high school, but yeah, it's like those moments really, if you get to the end, you accomplish all those goals, the big goals that we have, but you lose all the most important things around you. Was it even worth it at that
Yeah.
point? And now I think there's such great examples of people who have made it or whatever it is, reach some of those goals, but somehow have a good family life. We see a perspective of what their families look like.
Yeah.
And that to me, that's inspiring. It's like you can do both. You just have to be patient and in a sense, like just have more peace in yourself.
I mean, like when I was young, one of the biggest things that I was doing was basically like, I was a very closed off person where it's like, you know, I was like, all right, if I'm not working, I'm at home. I'm now working even more at home. I'm doing this and you know, relationships, what are those? Get away from me. Like I'm all about the art. I used to be like that kind of mindset where it's like don't call me. I'm still working. But then later you realize like I it was insane. But like later you later realize where it's like like there are people who wants to see you succeed. There are people who wants to see you happy as well, kind of thing. And it's like after you later realize that, you're like, okay, I can get behind it. I'm still like learning how to like do that kind of thing,
Yeah.
but
No, I feel
I
you.
know it's but I know it's important, and
Yeah.
I could. But like when I see it, it like it means the world basically.
Yeah. And I feel you. I'm wrestling like that thing. For me right now, it's that thing I was sharing about. Like, how do I have grace with myself while still
Hundred
being
percent.
this driven person? Because it's like I'm trying to get all my blocks of time going. And today I was going, started at 4:40 in the morning, and I'm hustling, but then my bike broke and this like like all these
Yeah,
things started throwing me off and I'm getting angry and starting to get frustrated and I'm running behind and but then is that moment of trying to remind myself, okay, this is that moment I could teach myself. Just it's all right. You still accomplish 4 or 5 things before 7 a.m. So I think we're okay, Miguel. Like
yeah,
and just get back on track and go. And but that's hard. That's hard. And I don't want to lose the drivenness, but I don't want to lose the people around me as well.
exactly.
And it sounds like you're on that same one. So now thinking about creating great things, what does that mean to you right now?
Creating the best thing, like again, 2020, like put things in perspective. Where before I was trying to make things where it's like, what would sound cool? What would get me on the radio? Like what would be cool to like, you know, get like this is before where it's like what would I do to get this girl's attention? Like huh? And then later you realize where it's like, no man, you gotta make something for yourself, kind of thing. Um and that is the most cliche thing where it's like you got to be true to yourself, but I kind of slowly am realizing that right now. um, so right now, I have to say this very carefully. Modern Day Fitzgerald is not recording an album, and so
Is
but it's not recording an album.
quotes.
But and like and the well, okay. So out of anything, like we're like I when we started like writing and everything, where I kind of like realized that like, there are some songs I kind of want to write and
Mhm.
whatnots. And um it's cool now because I'm now sitting at time to do things that I want to do, or making things that I want to create, kind of thing. And right now is during this whole process is that we're treating this album like we're writing a TV show, if that makes
Hmm.
sense. Like we're
It
like
does.
we're treating it like if I'm Donald Glover making Atlanta, or if I'm Aziz Ansari making Master of None. I'm like treating it like you have writers in the room. You're writing things out. You're having a storyline, like or
It's a great
whatnots.
idea, man.
And at the same time, when we're having like writing sessions like over Zoom, where we're talking about like different things that we want to accomplish through said quote. So um right now, like what I guess the major question is like what do I like what do I see if like when I create? Is that correct? Or
What does it mean to you to create
cool.
great things? And if
It
you want to change the question around to fit
no.
where you want to go, I'm open to it. So
I mean, like out of anything for us is that like now it's I when we started writing now and making like new songs, like I'm actually excited to play these songs,
hmm,
where it's like I don't have to worry about like before I had to worry about like crazy jazz chords and like, maneuvering your fingers around. I love that, but now it's like no, I'm writing a fun pop song, and where like you can imagine yourself running on stage and like waving at people, playing guitar. Like that is the songs that we're writing, where it's like we're having fun and whatnot. I mean, like there's meaning
I
behind.
laugh because when we were in the studio, I constantly would work with the band and our producer at the time, and they would just laugh because I was like, really, at this part is when we could have like fire pop up on the stage, and they're like, Jesus, man, it's fire and synth. Those are the two things. I wanted more synth at all times, and then I was dreaming of how we could incorporate fire when we played it loud or played it live, and that's how I would see our songs as we wrote it. So I feel you in that.
When we were we're having a very safe COVID recording session, and we were recording drums and bass. So they didn't really need me, but then something was off. So I was like, all right, let me play with you to get the vibe in. So everyone, like we were playing, I was just having fun, like just playing the chords. And I was just like running around. I was like, all right, it's the part where like someone's soloing and I'm going this part of the stage and I'm like running like da 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 da. And then like I'm running over here, I'm like waving, and then I'm going, let's go this way. And like, and my drummer was like, yeah. And he's like so into it. And like we're just like making fun and having fun with it. And I don't know, like it's the reason I mention all of that stuff is that like I'm like when you're creating something, you want to make sure that you're releasing something or creating something that you enjoy.
Mhm.
And I think sometimes, especially when you have that the business mindset, you kind of like are trying to figure out like, all right, what song sells? What kind of song sells? Okay, we want something more like now. Uh, let's see. I guess Shawn Mendes is a great thing. Can we make something like that? Let's add a little bit of so on and so forth on top of
And then do
that.
you mumble rap? Could you mumble rap too? That would be
Oh,
great.
dude,
Like right in the
yeah.
bridge. That'd be awesome. And yeah, the
And like again, that's great. If you're having
right.
fun that way, 100% go
Absolutely.
for it. But then if you're just doing everything because of a formula, take a step back.
Right.
So,
And
yeah,
and I find often the formulas or even like music theory, those things can inform, but at the end of the day, it's usually the songs that break the conventions that something about it felt right. And so they went in this direction or went in that direction, apart from the formulas, apart from the basis and the foundation of what people are used to is what made
exactly.
it unique. And I think of Billie Eilish, where when she first came out, I think one reason she hit so hard was the production was completely different and her
100%.
approach was
Yeah.
completely different than when now everybody is coming in with the same kind of vibe and emulating that. But I remember I was like, this is so fresh. Or when Lizzo's Truth Hurts,
Yes.
that's what it's called, right? When the first time I heard that, again at the moment, it was just so fresh. Like, wow, I feel like I haven't heard anything like that. And it had to be unique, it had to come from and really break the norms, which now it made the new norms that someone else is going to break in the end.
And it's so crazy with Lizzo too, is that like she started like seriously out like us. I want to say it's 100
Yeah.
like, you know,
Well, she worked
2000
her ass off for so long.
she was like sleeping in her like van kind of
Yep.
thing when touring and like first time I ever heard of her was through a small independent artist and
Hmm.
now she's like freaking like playing like Super Bowl type concerts now where it's like
Right.
insane. I'm like I'm so proud of you. 100% proud of you.
Yeah, she busted her ass. And that's what so many people don't see the 10 years in the making to get there. Just like when Kendrick Lamar, broke out, like he had a wealth of music and
Oh
impact,
yeah.
like leading up to that. And yeah, it's amazing to see. Amazing to
A-
see.
And speaking of which, when since we're talking about that's like uh Childish Gambino, when like Donald Glover, when he first started the project, it was during literally 2006, 2007. It started out like as a college, like hangout, like I'm having fun type thing.
Hmm.
He's making fun of like Lil Wayne rapping kind of thing. So he's like rapping like a little more nasally. But then it just slowly went from that to like it's kind of then became his therapy session to his like now it's like Redbone kind of thing,
Yeah.
or This Is
Now it's
America. Like,
iconic, and you see clips from This Is America, and people like
are
they
relate,
know who
yeah.
it is, and it's made its stamp on culture. But that's
And
where it grows from.
yeah, he was legitimately having fun at his college dorm room making fake Lil Wayne raps. That's all it was.
Back to I think where it sounds like you're coming from is creating something great means being true to yourself and really having a passion and joy for it is what I hear you saying.
Yes, 100%.
That's cool, man. That's yesterday I was talking to a friend and slash mentor, and I was asking him, I'm working on some stuff behind the scenes that I don't necessarily want to talk about right now. One day I will, but is basically saying I want to do A, but to do A, I need B,
Yes.
but I don't know shit about B. And I go, should I just quit doing A for a while and learn B? And he goes, well, do you want to do B? Do you have any passion to learn that thing? And I was like, honestly, not at all, really. I just don't. He goes, well, maybe you should just find somebody else that you can partner with to do it. And it was that. So it was a decision I've been stressing for over so long. And I'm like, no, you're right. And it freed me up. And we just kept talking about that idea. Like, where is your passion? Go after that. Cause it's essentially, if you're not passionate about it, you can't work through all the bullshit that's inevitably going to come to make that
100%.
thing happen. And that's what I've seen happen over and over again for myself as well. So, Well, man, thanks for making the time. It's great to catch up on this. And I'm looking forward to see the next steps and next iteration of what you do on your own and what you guys do as a band. It'll be awesome, man.
If you want to keep this for your recording as well, this would be cool too.
Okay.
But, speaking of Gary Vaynerchuck,
little bonus.
I got this.
Nice.
These are the Gary Vaynerchuck shoes as well.
Gary Vee love right there, bro.
Oh my god, it's dope. It's like this one says like positive and okay, guys, gonna see it. Like positive.
It's in there. Yeah.
And then optimism. And then yeah,
I'm super jealous.
It's I hate to say this, but I literally got these for $25. I saw it and then I was like, are you fucking kidding me? No one's getting these. And I told the guy, bro, I want those K-Swiss, like K-Swiss. And like he saw me, I was wearing Jordans and everything too. It's like, I want K-Swiss. Like, are you sure? Shut up. Give me those shoes right now.
Are you sure?
I want them.
I don't feel like I can even claim he's my business lord and savior now because I don't have the shoes and you do. That's brilliant.
But no, honestly too, like those are the most comfortable shoes I ever wear. I wear them. Like I thought I'm just gonna wear them for like just business meetings. No, I'm wearing like almost every other day.
Nice.
Comfy.
And see, I'm like Jordans all the way. And then my running shoes that I wear a ton. Those are like the things that I'm always in. So
yeah,
I'll need to check it out. I need to jump on it. Become a legit Gary Vee fan.
Honestly, just do it now. It's like
thank you for listening to the Live and Create podcast. If you like what you heard, make sure you subscribe and leave a comment or a review.
The Live and Create podcast.